Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy.
Hi, and I'm Carla.
And together we are the EFFing
Madres.
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring Madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It. Good morning. How's
Happy
everyone?
Monday.
Happy Monday. It really is a Monday.
It truly is the most Monday of all Mondays today.
It's the most Monday of all, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so everybody, we are the EFFing Madres, and I am Romy. This is Carla. Two Madres that are having their Eff It moment. And an Eff It moment, for those of you listening, is a fuck it moment. So if you have kids, we do cuss here. It's a fuck it moment that basically changes everything for you as a mother, for your family, as a woman, as a human. You know, you just basically say Eff it and go after something big, small, whatever it is that is life-changing for you and your family. And those moments inspire others to have those moments. And so this is a space where we like to share those. And so we interview a Monday Madre. That did not come out right. A Monday Madre.
Monday Madre.
And we do that on Mondays, and they share their Eff It moment. And it's just a really amazing community and space that we feel really proud to be, I guess, hosting on Mondays. So
yeah,
who do we have on today?
So we have this woman named Amanda. We have been trying to coordinate schedules. This is the thing about this podcast. We have endless content, but the scheduling is a bitch because we're all moms.
A bunch of moms.
Yeah. So that's been really difficult. But anyway, I'm going to make this short. She's coming in. We're interviewing her. She sent me her Eff It moment like 4 months ago. It's long. I'm just going to let her go ahead and explain it to us because the first question will answer that question. So we're going to bring her right in.
Awesome.
Okay, everyone, we have Amanda Frike here. I met her on the Hey Mama platform, and you told me your Eff It moment, and it was like a pretty exciting one. So I'm just going to let you dive right into explaining what it is with the first question. So the first question is, when did you decide to just Eff It and why?
So great question. It was the beginning of 2021, and my husband was previously the CEO of an assisted living company in Tucson, Arizona, which was an amazing company. But as you can imagine, during COVID, it was hell on wheels for a million different reasons, mostly because it was like, hey, grandma's dying. No, you can't come say goodbye. And he had to be the human to tell those families that, which was pretty awful. And so I was at yoga with a friend, and in Shavasana had like this soul hit of, you need to like tell him to quit his job and buy a motorhome and travel the country and get him the F out of there. And so I went home and told him that insane story. He told me I was crazy. And then 3 months later, we moved into a Class A motorhome, and we've been on the road ever since.
Oh my God. Wait, so you're currently
I'm
in a
sitting
motorhome?
in my motorhome on my bed with the door closed because the boys are watching TV in the other room.
Oh,
okay, wait. I need to jump in here. So, Amanda, how many kids do you have?
One.
Okay, one kid. Mm-hmm. Just so I can clarify this, you're doing Shavasana, you're in yoga, you have a come to whatever Jesus moment, right? Whatever your Jesus may be, whatever your universe may be. Basically, you're coming to your universe and you're saying, my husband needs to get out of this. We're going to get a van and we're going to just travel.
Yeah. And and let's be clear, it's a 42-foot gorgeous apartment on wheels. Like, I'm not roughing it here.
Yeah.
But I mean, we went from like 3,200 square feet to like 320. Probably not even.
What was the plan to do? Like, explain that a little bit. Like, why was that the Eff It moment? Why was that what you guys needed to do? I'm curious.
I think we needed to just remove ourselves from kind of like the physical space we were in, because I traveled for work basically full time, and I could work remotely, and traveling stopped right during COVID. Like, nobody can go anywhere. So I'm kind of going, okay, wait, I can't meditate on planes every other day anymore. Like, my life is now weird. My kid is at home. I'm a crazy person. He was never home because he was stuck at the facility. So I think it was kind of getting out of the physicality of just the stress, like, right? Like, our home became not a happy place, and we love our house. Like, we remodeled the whole thing. It's gorgeous, and we can't wait to get back there now. But it really was just, let's get the hell out of here. So we left in July of 2021 with basically our only planned stop being the Florida Keys, which ended up being 2 months because we loved it so much. But we just kind of hit the road and left.
How was
Wow.
that? Like, so, and then like being on the road like that. So that would be like what you guys did. You had an effort moment that we needed to get out of here because it was miserable for him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what you guys did was actually bought it and like got on the road.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been amazing because he took a really like wonderful sabbatical. He's now gone back into construction, which has been awesome. But, you know, he had so much time with our son. And like I said, I work remotely. So like if anybody needs to know how to set up a mobile command center, I got you. But it's been, you know, it really put our life into perspective, I think, of just what's important, what's not, what we want to do with our money, what we want to do with our time. So and we really do live by like everything is a choice, you know, and I think especially during COVID, people are like, well, I could never do that. I could never do this. I'm like, yeah, you can. Like you are choosing to sit in that. So sorry, I have no sympathy.
Mm-hmm. That is 100% true. I'm actually reading the book of the lady that the podcast came out today, Simone.
Oh, the
And
Kilimanjaro.
That's the chapter that I'm on. You have a choice. You have a choice. So it's funny that you're talking about that. That is 100% true. And isn't it sad that most of us choose to just sit in it?
Yeah.
Because we think we don't have another option.
Right. And I think it's easier to choose something when it's going to feel better. Right. But
Yeah.
I mean, turning our lives upside down, telling our families we were leaving, like not having any idea what we were getting ourselves into was scary, but also fun. Like we went down a YouTube rabbit hole, right, and watched every video and bought all the things. But I mean, I don't regret it for even a second.
Wow.
And that's what life is about, those journeys. There's something really beautiful. And I have to say this that came out of COVID because we have had so many mamas on here who had so many big effort moments during that time in our lives. And I feel like, yes, it was, you know, we all have PTSD and it was traumatic and all that shit. But like at the same time, like we had some like rude awakenings to like what we wanted in our life and what we wanted with our kids. And a lot of us all of a sudden were forced into spending more time with our families in a way that I don't think any of us would have if the world didn't shut down, because we all are so go, 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 go. You know what I mean? Like we all had to stop. And then it was like, well, no, I want to be with my family. I want to have this freedom to be with my family.
Yeah.
And people made these huge changes.
Yeah. And I will tell you, like, I'm not I loved being pregnant and I am such a good mom. Like, I'm not that person at all.
Neither is Carla.
Yeah. Hated being pregnant. Like, couldn't handle it. So I went from, right, traveling all the time to daycare closes. I'm still doing a full-time job and on the computer 9 hours a day. But now I have a 4-year-old looking at me like I've pooped my pants and can I have a snack, which literally happened on a conference call. And I mean, I will tell you, like, first of all, my Peloton saved my life 100%. Like, just whatever. Shout out to them. But nap time, I would go and ride my Peloton for 20 minutes and cry my eyes out. Because I'm like, I can't freaking handle this. Like, it was so crazy. And, you know, and then one thing led to another. And now I'm sitting in a very large vehicle. And then we moved to Italy, which is like, got even more crazy. So.
Wow. That's another part of your effort moment. So then once you made that decision, like once you guys literally like had that conversation, you both decided, like, how did it make you feel in that moment?
Excited, empowered. I think one of the really cool things I think that it did for our marriage was a lot of people were like, you sure you want to do that? Like, that's a small place to be locked up with your spouse. I'm like, well, I actually really love him a lot, so I'm not that worried about it. And even like the RV families, you know, it's like a total cult. They said, you know, the first couple months can be really hard and whatever. And we got into it a couple months. We're laying in bed going, is this supposed to be harder? Like, we're really happy. Like, this is really fun. And our marriage isn't perfect. The trip wasn't perfect, but we've had a blast. So I think for us, it's just, in the beginning, it was really empowering that we were kind of taking over our own lives. And now I think it's more of like, we can take on anything together, which just made us so much closer than I think we would have been if we would have sat in the, hell that was a couple years ago.
That's awesome. So that doesn't sound like there was really a lot of fear behind it.
Honestly, no. I love change though. Like, I've had a lot of jobs. Like,
when I'm on the end of it, I love it. But when I'm going through it, I fucking hate it.
That's so.
I love change too, Amanda. Like I'm pretty.
Yeah.
Like I should correct that. I'm actually a little bit of both of you. I get really excited for change, but I also get really thrown off because I'm so rigid with like consistency and schedule. So it's like, Carla, I'm almost like you in that way. It's almost at the end of it, once we're like, I'm like, okay, but that initial change is so scary,
Oh man.
because it just throws me off. But I feel like, Amanda, for you guys, it really felt so real to you that this is what you needed to do, that like you guys just moved through it. Like this was exactly your path.
Yeah. And I will say, I'll give a little shout out to my friend Mary, because they were they were our first friends that we told about it. Like that night, told the husband, hey, this is what I think you should do. He's like, you're insane. I'm like, here's a beer. Talk to me again after you have 7 of these. And I went to my girlfriend Mary. I'm like, here's my idea. She goes, you got to do it. Like, she goes, you got to come home, but you got to do it. Yeah. And so it was really like that first validation, I think, took any fear that was there out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
so what did this do for your family by doing this? Like how it wasn't scary for you guys, really. It feels like it was a pretty normal transition, and you guys seem really happy. So even if it's like the most positive, what parts of this really like affected you guys?
I mean, I will say, like, we are in a very small space. My son does not have his own room. So now he's 6. He sleeps on the couch, right? Like, which we love being together, so it's fine. But we're getting to that point where like he needs his own space. We do have 2 bathrooms. A lot of people ask that. So thank God. But I think it's, there were definitely trying moments where like I'm working, like a really good example, I'm staring at the desk. So I was working in the main room of the motorhome, right? There's like our bedroom and the main room. And I'm trying to work on these calls, and I'd be sitting at the table, and then my husband's trying to get into the fridge, or my kid needs something or whatever, and they're walking around and slamming doors. And I'm like, I'm trying to close $1 million deal here. Like, get the hell out. And I was getting really like just icky about it, right? I was resenting them. I was resenting my job. I was resenting all of it. And my husband, God bless him, he sent me a text while I was on the phone. And he said, it was something like, hi, can I please schedule a design consultation with you to build you a desk in our master bedroom of our motorhome? Which was like, yes, like the sweetest. So is it like the most comfortable space? Is it my big, beautiful office at home? No, but it gets the job done. So it's been a lot of those like, okay, that was stressful. Like we almost lost the Jeep off the back of the motorhome and could have killed everybody. That was very stressful. Yeah, but got through it. So it's been just, I don't know, like increased communication, I think has been a huge one. And being like, life's too fucking short, I think is really kind of the motto of our lives now.
I think it shows your son that like these are big things that you can do, and like big life-changing things. It's an experience for him. What an adventure for him, for our children to not see just that normal thing, and that like to live that, a little bit of that in your childhood. Like what a gift.
Oh, I mean, we look at him all the time and we're like, you lucky SOB.
Yeah.
I mean, like you spent 2 months fishing every day on a boat in Cudjoe Key in the Florida Keys. Like, come on.
Well, that's like the thing where we're like, get yourself out of the childhood that we're in now. Get out there and like play with some rocks and like kick some cans and like get out into nature and like get on the, like be out there. And he's had this like amazing gift and opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that's been really interesting is like the whole school system of like, regardless of what anybody thinks about anything being taught, whatever, like not going to go down that political road. But I will say I am very comfortable in the fact that my kid is totally behind in reading, but he can bait and hook a fish. Right. So like he might not be able to read the instructions, but he'll feed himself. So, it's just, for me, it's the life skills that they don't get in school. Like he just got a 2-year crash course. And even if he doesn't remember a lot of it, like I'm so proud of him, and he's so adaptable. He can sleep anywhere like a puppy, like it's a joke. So we're just, it's made him very resilient.
Well, I mean, I'm curious. I know I need to jump into my next question, but I am
Yeah.
curious, like from your son's perspective,
Mhm.
like how did he react to this change?
You know, he was only 4 when we left. So he was little, right?
Okay.
I don't think he totally got it. I will say one of the really challenging things we took on was putting him in a like online homeschool. So like he was in a
Mm.
charter school, so it was free because budget. Um, and he would be doing the live classes, and then he'd have to watch the recordings when we moved to Italy. And so he didn't understand that like it wasn't live. So he's like, "My teacher's not calling on me." I'm like, "Buddy, it's a recording. Like she's you're not
Oh.
actually there." So there was like
Mm.
some of that stuff that's been hard, and homeschooling just sucked, honestly. Like we're stationary now for the rest of the school year so that he can go to real school, because we are not those parents.
That's got to be the weird. I mean, he doesn't have any other thing to compare it to, but the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like he's getting his first years of education, like online with not even it being alive. That's got to be. It's like to me, for us, like the way that we
Yeah.
grew up, that's got to be so weird.
Yeah. I mean, and I like he was in daycare from 6 weeks old because the American health system sucks and I had to go back to work.
Yeah.
And so like he was in preschool, but I think he was learning, but not like this structured, like you have homework.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think the other thing was for whatever reason, this school, like teaching kids to read sucks. Like if you haven't done that yet, it's pretty brutal.
Mm.
And this charter schools taught it very, very differently than how they're teaching it now in his school here in Lake Havasu. And so like they were doing, I don't remember what they were called, but like he'd see an O and go, ah, oh, ooh. And here it's just a freaking O. And I'm going,
Mm.
like, this poor kid has had to learn like one of the hardest things you learn as a kid twice. And so
Mm.
that has been, I think hard for him. But I mean, he loves his school, and I'm definitely glad to get him off like the computer because it was just a lot. But yeah, I mean, God bless that kid.
Yeah. And I mean, at his age, they're so adaptable.
Oh
So
yeah.
he'll
Like
jump into anything else that he has to do. So, okay. So you didn't have any fears for your effort moment, but now that it sounds like you're returning home
Mm-hmm.
soon. Do
Mm-hmm.
you have fears about that come up for you at all?
I mean, yes and no. I think, the second effort moment that happened within the first one was moving to Italy, right? So we kind of got through the first year on the road of traveling every like 3 to 5 days with a couple months in the Keys. My boss for the company I work for is in Milan, Italy. So we like, it doesn't matter the story, but we ended up moving to Italy for 3 months. And so we've just been under this like constant state of change. I think a little bit of like not going on vacation with my entire life, which is a weird thing to get used to when you live in a motorhome. I'm a little, I don't want to go back to having to pack a suitcase, which is so stupid, but honestly, no, like I think we just talked about it the other day that we feel like we're in a really good place of, I don't feel the need like we're missing out on something by going home, but I also am ready to be home. Like I want my closet, I want my office, I want my pool, like I'm ready. But ask me again in 6 months because I might be like, why the hell did we ever come home?
Curious, Amanda, when you go home, if like in the next few years you guys get that bug, to just be gone again. Like if this is like a part of you guys now,
Yeah.
and that you guys seem as though you're open to wherever
Yeah.
it takes you.
And I think the other thing for us, which is funny, is we had never been to Europe before we moved there. And we live on the West Coast, so it's really far, right? It's not like the quick hop from New York. And so for us, like going to Europe seemed like such a huge deal. And now that we've done it, we're sort of like, okay, let's just turn on the flight tracker for Paris. And if there's like cheap flights in a couple weeks, let's just go, right? It's put things again, like it's been this whole story of perspective of like, it's not that big of a deal. And even like we loved the Florida Keys so much and we love to fish. And just, I think it was yesterday, I said, we could choose to go there now. Like if we want to sit down and actually have a conversation about it, we could choose to move there, which we're not going to. If any of my family's listening, don't worry, we're not moving to Florida. But but like it's just a choice. Like no one's stopping you.
I think you're saying like now that we've done it, it's not as scary. And I think it's really important for anybody listening that like once you do it, listen to her. Like once you actually do those scary things, it isn't that scary. You kind of move through them. So they might
Yeah.
seem like, oh my God, it's crazy to go to Europe, right? Like that anticipation and that idea of take my family to Europe. No way. That's too fucking big. And then you do it and you're like, wow, I can do big things. I can do more of
Yeah.
this. You know,
And
like
and being
Yeah.
in it, like, and you have to just know that like it's not going to be perfect, right? The one thing I really underestimated about moving to Italy was like not knowing the language, which I knew would be weird, right? But I'm like, oh, it's Milan, everyone will speak English. No, they don't like to speak English, first of all. And I knew I can order dinner, right? Like that's about it. And just like the exhaustion of constantly having to think about what you're saying and like try to understand, like that was absolutely horrendously exhausting. And I totally underestimated that, right? So it was just like there's different things that we learned, and we lived in an apartment. It was weird. Like we just learned a lot. But I think you just have to take the chance. And I think there's never. I love that you guys always say like the effort moment doesn't mean like your life changed for the better. It means that you took the step.
Yeah.
Right.
totally.
And I think like having kind of the balls to do it and understanding like that's a muscle. Like, and you have to flex that muscle of being okay with being uncomfortable.
I love that you said that flex that muscle, Carla,
Yes.
flex that effort muscle.
Yes, 100%. I was going to say, it's funny, the second leg to this question is how are you staying in that fit moment? But it doesn't pertain to you. Like the first person, I'm like, you are in that fit moment momentum all the time. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't look like that wavers.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of things about me I would change for sure. Right. I have a lot of like weird internal bullshit. But the one thing I'll say is that like, I definitely live by the worst they can say is no. And I think
good.
that's just, it's you got to ask for your boss for something. You need to deal with something with school. You got to, whatever. It's the worst they can say is no. And honestly, like, are you going to care in 2 weeks? Probably not.
No.
So, and I'm like saying this for myself too, believe me.
Yeah. That is a really good lesson, because I think I've always been so much more cautious about, I've always asked for permission versus asking for forgiveness. And I'm at that point where I'm like, why did I ever do that? What's the big
And
fucking
I like
deal?
never ask for permission.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a boss tell me, he goes, you're either going to run the company or get fired. He
Yeah.
goes, like, you ride this line. And then the same guy, it's actually was pretty cute. He goes, you're sort of like, what did he say? You're sort of like a shot of tequila with a wheatgrass chaser.
Oh my God.
Right.
Like, it's just
what a very distinct description.
I'm like, it totally makes sense. Like, you're a lot of fun, but be careful.
Yeah.
So but I think that's in corporate, as an entrepreneur, like whatever you are, it's understanding like nobody gets ahead by being comfortable. Like you gotta push the limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
true.
a great statement. I just want to say that again. Nobody gets ahead by being comfortable. So I think that is like, if you were going to say like an F it moment, it's like, that's it. Get uncomfortable. If you're going to F and have it and go after something, you're going to have to get uncomfortable or it's not going to happen. With that type of advice, I'm curious, like, what would you say to a family, to a mom? What is your advice to somebody who is in this kind of moment? Like, what would you tell them?
Or wants to have it.
Yeah, or wants to have
it. I think you gotta like get real with yourself, right? And I think there's a lot of stigmas about what you should be as a mom, or what your kids should be, or what your marriage should be, or all of these things. And I think like I love hypnosis. If like look at Grace Smith, she's amazing. And I think I've learned to really kind of get quiet with myself and be like, no, I don't need to do this, or I need to remove myself from this, or I need to be out of this job, or whatever it is. And I think it's just like that conversation with yourself is oftentimes the most scary. Like of getting honest of like, oh, actually I am really unhappy in this, or actually like I am like resenting my kid, which is like a horrible feeling, right? And just being honest and saying something's got to change. Okay, now we can go into the place of like, how can I get myself out of this? Who do I need to talk to? Like, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's just to get quiet and like turn off social, turn off, like, you don't need to move into RV, because I did, right? That was my situation. Like, maybe you just need to quit your job. Maybe you need to get a job. It's, I don't know, but I think it's just understanding like we are all very unique beings that have unique needs.
I think that's so important, just like
Yeah.
everybody to get quiet, to be at peace with yourself. And I love that you said, like, yeah, you don't have to move, you don't have to get in an RV. Your moment is your moment. And if you're silent enough and you're paying attention enough to what you are telling yourself and you listen to it, that's when that effort moment happens. And your change, your movement, whatever you need to do, you're gonna let it like surface, you know?
Yeah, and I very much believe in like the universe is always talking to you, and I call it like the universal 2x4, right?
Mhm.
So where it's like the universe or God, whoever you believe in, right, is
Yeah.
will give you signs and be like, oh weird, I keep
100%.
seeing RVs on the road. Oh weird, this keeps popping up on YouTube, and then
Yeah.
something happens and it's a 2x4 to the head,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I get it. I'm listening now, right? And
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Carla's my
unfortunately,
Latina that's like, the signs are everywhere.
yes, yes,
Yes, they're everywhere. They're
they're
talking to you.
everywhere.
Ask your guides for your sign.
Yes. I mean, I had that happen in Italy. Like I was having a rough day, asked for a sign and it came right to me. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, you just got to listen.
Ugh, man, you know, it's funny, the whole getting quiet with yourself. Jay Shetty always brings up this study
Mhm.
about how, like, they asked this group, like men and women, if they were willing to sit with themselves for 15 minutes or get an electric shock. And most men, but a lot of women chose the electric shock because
Which
they
is
don't want to
crazy.
sit with themselves for
Mhm.
15
Oh my God.
minutes
And
of their
I'm
own
like
thoughts.
begging for time to sit with myself. Like I
Same.
am in need of 15 minutes to myself right now. You know, like
Mhm.
the opposite. I'm the same way too. Like something about yoga and that final, like that laying point, that shavasana at the end, it really, like when you're on the floor and your body is on the floor and you're silent like that and they have the whole, and there's no interruption, everything comes to you. I have
Yes.
literally cried on a yoga floor
Oh, for sure.
and like been so emotional from absolute silence and my body
Mhm.
just laying down.
Yes. And I think
Because as humans, we don't do that enough.
no, and I think we fill our like the bad things we know are coming, we fill it with busyness,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
felt myself doing that lately, and I'm like, oh sister, what are you covering up? Like you've been too busy, like you have the 10 minutes to meditate and you're choosing not to, like what's up with that, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is.
So for all of those listening, take those like minutes if you can. If I would say if you're wanting to have one, if you're looking to have one, if you're hearing this and you're like, I don't know what it is, maybe just try it. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
just try to be silent like that with yourself.
And I
Mhm.
think there's like I mean, I used to be that girl that could not meditate for 30 seconds because I'm like, what's on the grocery list? What are we doing? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Now I could go an hour and I'll be crying and loving it and like chanting, right? But I think it's find it's so stupid. Like find the tools that work for you, right? If it's the
Mhm.
Calm app, if it's the Peloton app, like there's a million different apps with a million different voices, and you have to find like what jives with you, right?
Yeah.
Because like I don't like meditating to men for some reason. Like I don't. It just weirds me out. Gabby Bernstein all day, right? Grace Smith, like I'm like hypnotize me till I'm dead. Like I love it. But I think like understanding again, there's no right way to do anything.
Yeah.
Like just do what's right for you.
Mhm. Or maybe it's not necessarily meditating. Maybe it's
Right.
journaling, or maybe it's
Going for a
exercise, or maybe
walk.
it's, yeah,
Yes.
going on a walk. Like it's just giving something to yourself for a certain amount
Mhm.
of time, you know, to be with yourself. That's
It's the
really, really
space.
important. Yeah,
It's like
it
the
is the
magic
space.
happens in the space.
It does. That's a good saying.
Mhm.
Amanda, we are so happy that you finally got on here,
I
that we finally made this work, that we got to
know.
hear your inspiring story and such amazing words for anyone listening. And so rad that you did that. Like such a
Oh,
great
thank
effort moment.
you.
So like inspiring that you just went after it. And it's worked so beautifully for you guys.
Yeah.
Is
Thank
there
you.
anything that you could share as far as like, if anyone, Instagram or work or anything that you want
Sure.
to put out there for anyone listening?
Yeah, you can. I'm on Instagram, Amanda Freik. It's private, but just hit me up. I'll accept you or whatever the word is for that. It's FREICK is Freik. The construction business, which there's a few pictures on there from our travels, is Boomer and Dukes. So that's our like whatever. And then weirdly, so I'm an electrical engineer by education, and now I help run a data science and artificial intelligence company. Totally other
Wow.
weird conversation. Yeah, all the AI stuff. It is terrifying, and it's coming. So just be ready.
Yeah.
But if you're like super into tech, any of the startup space. Like, we do some really cool stuff. That company is called Altruistic. It's altruistic.io. And I love talking to innovative people. So yeah, reach out. I
Awesome.
just love connecting with cool people, and you guys are amazing. And thank you for putting together this show, because I think it's really important for moms to have like actual conversations.
Yeah.
And be open to saying, like, I really did say fuck it in my life, and this is what I did about it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we don't say it enough.
Society has not allowed us to say those things.
Amen.
Yeah. So now we're allowing.
I love it.
We're inviting it. We're like, let us hear what, let us hear. Let's inspire each other. And if you're driving or you're in your work and everyone's listening to podcasts, like, let another woman or let another mom hear, like, you can fucking say fuck this and do something else,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of women are doing it. A lot of moms are doing it. And like, if you're sitting there like wanting to have it, or you're like, I can't do it, you can fucking do it. And you are another mother who's helping create this space to share those stories. So thank you.
Yeah. And I think that my parting thing, because I do not say this enough to people, is like, if you see a girl with a cute shirt on, tell her that it's cute. Because you never know what someone is going through. And I have had moments lately where like, your bag is so cute. I'm like, fuck, I needed that today.
Yeah.
Right. And it takes 2 seconds. So I just invite, like, if you see something cute, if she does a good job with her kid, like, tell her.
Yeah. Yeah. You really don't know what someone's going through, and that can change that. That's another thing Simone talks about. Like, you just never know what people are going through, and that can completely change that person's week, month, whatever.
Yes.
So, and us women, us moms, we need those compliments here and there. We need those words, okay? Like, they really change our day sometimes.
They really do.
Yes. Amanda, this is the end where we're all going to say,
just F it.